2018. Take announcements. We have in the gallery members of the Legislative Council, Goben local government from Edo State. If you are there, could you please rise? A round of applause for them. Honorable Sergeants, are they from your constituency? You are welcome. Kindly take your seat. Not much announcements. Okay. I'm on a sad note, date of Honorable Chino Yerem announcement. The Forum of former members of the House of Representatives wishes to inform the Honorable House of the sudden date of one of our colleagues, Honorable Chino Yerem Makubu, who represented Uka East, Ukwa West Federal Constituency of Abia State. Burial arrangements of late Honorable Chinere, service of songs at his residence at Apo Legislative Quarters, Flat 12, Mohammed Goni Close, Apo, time 4 p.m., date 16th November 2018. Service of songs at his residence at Umoiko Oza, Autonomous Community, Asa, Ukwa West, LGA, Abia State, on Friday, 30th November 2018, time 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Burial service interment in late Honorable Chinureram's compound, Umoiko Oza, Asa, Yeka West, local government, Abia State, on 1st December 2018, time 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. The Thanksgiving service at the Apostolic Church, Oza, Autonomous Community, Ukwa West, LJ, Abia State, on Sunday, 2nd December 2018, time 11 a.m. prompt. The announcer is Honorable Jerry Ugokwe, PhD, who is the National Coordinator of Forum of former members of the House of Representatives. Honorable colleagues, as is the custom of this House, may we please rise to observe a minute silence in honor of our departed colleague. May the gentle soul of our departed colleague rest in perfect peace. Honorable Faleke, can you be serving us the whip, because your seat is empty. Okay, think the House is properly constituted for business. Where's the chairman rules of business? Okay, any member has a petition to present to the House, may please rise to do so. Any petition? None. We move to matters of urgent public importance. We'll take the first one from Honorable Yakubu Umar Barde.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Yakubu Umar Barde. I represent Chipun Federal Constituency. I'm from Kaduna State. Mr. Speaker, I come under Order 824 to present to you and the entire House a matter of urgent public importance, and that has to do with the killings and wanton destruction of properties and adoption of people that is going on now in Kaduna. And the government has placed a 24-hour curfew to make sure that there is no further escalation of the problem. Mr. Speaker, I want to offer two prayers. One, so that the motion can be heard now, and by suspending the relevant rules of the House, so that I move the motion. I do move, Mr. Speaker.
Second, Honorable Jimo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My name is Jimo Ibrahim. I represent Lagos Mainland, Federal Constituency, Lagos State. I stand to second that motion and is considered very important. Thank you, sir.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Second limb of the motion will be Honorable Rano.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Honorable Sani Mohammed Rano. I'm from Kano State. I rise to second the second leg of the motion that this matter be taken immediately. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Barde, you can now move your motion.
The House note that Kaswama Gani, a community in Kajubu local government area of Kaduna State, hosts a large and weekly market which usually attracts many sellers and buyers from different parts of the state and the country at large. That on Thursday, the 18th of October 2018, which was the market day, the community was thrown into crisis, which started in the market and spread to other areas of the community. Also note that the paramount ruler of Adara people, the Agwam Adara, who is the first-class chief, on receiving the report of the crisis, made on-spot visit to the area, and while on his way back, he was adopted alongside with his wife, the driver, by handmen and other 3 persons in his entourage, lost their lives. Just 2 days ago, his wife was released. Further notes that on 21st of October 2018, which happened to be a market day again in Ujama town, in Chipun local government area of Kaduna State, some hoodlums suddenly launched an attack on marketers in the guise of retaliation of what happened in Kaswama Gani in Kaduna local government. This caused panic to neighboring towns like Lidu, Sabuntesha, Janghua, and Narai, with errant youths barricading the roads, thereby killing people and burning cars. Saddened that as a result of this crisis, over 50 people's lives were lost, and property worth millions of naira were destroyed, and many families rendered homeless. The House disturbed at the speed and rate at which lives and property of citizens are being destroyed at the slightest provocation, with absolute disregard of human life. Barely 8 months ago, a similar crisis was recorded in the same community, with several lives and property destroyed. Commend the timely intervention of the Executive Governor of Kaduna State and that of the security agencies in bringing the situation under control. Resolve to call on the House to observe a minute silence in honor of those who lost their lives. Mandate the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to provide relief materials to the families and persons affected by the crisis. Urge the security agencies to intensify their efforts in ensuring the release of the abducted paramount ruler, and also call on the Nigerian police to carry out thorough investigation in order to fish out the perpetrators of this crisis and bring them to book. I so move.
Seconder, Honorable Jagaba.
Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, I rise to move. I may second the motion as ably moved by my leader, Honorable Bade.
So, Honorable Bade, you may now lead the debate.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleague, I stand here today with a very heavy heart in commiseration with those that lost their life in the crisis that happened just 2 days or 4 days ago in Kaduna State, particularly in my constituency, which is Chipun and Kaju local government area of Kaduna State. Mr. Speaker, as I speak to you, let me start on a very sad note that apart from the properties that were lost in Kaswamari, where the governor paid a visit, and the paramount ruler of Agbo Madara also paid a visit to the area. On that same day, the paramount ruler was going back to Kachia, where the headquarters of his chiefdom is, and he was abducted on the road by hoodlums armed men. They killed up to 3 people in his convoy. They took the driver, the Agbo Madara, and his wife and took them into the forest. As I speak to you, Mr. Speaker, the people of Adara community in the entire Kaduna State and the whole world are sad because this is a first-class chief who is a symbol of the community or the symbol of the tribe all over the world. As I speak to you, he's still being held in the forest. Only God knows whether he's alive or not. But 2 days ago, they released his wife and released one other person that they adopted together with. But they held on to the chief. And I speak to you now, security agencies, in fairness to them, have gone round and they are trying their best to make sure that the adopted paramount ruler is released. Mr. Speaker, while this thing was happening on Thursday, which was October 18th, then the next market day of a village which was close to Kaswamageni, which is in Kujama local government, in Chukwu local government in Kujama, the market day was disrupted by people who just came into the market and started shouting and shooting and looting materials. One will hardly want to place it. Why was it happening? But the information we got was that it was like a reprisal or a retaliation of what happened in Kaswamageni. Now, what baffles me is that within 10 minutes of the crisis there, it has spread to Rido village, it has spread to Sabotesha, it spread to Narai, where some youths took the opportunity at the slightest provocation and they mounted tires on the road and barricaded the road at anybody that was coming, and suddenly it turned to religion. Depending on which barricade you are able to enter, if you enter the one that is by the Muslim youth, if you are a Christian, you will be killed. If you go to the one that is barricaded, the road that is barricaded by the Muslim youth, and if by the Christian youth, if you are a Muslim, you will be killed. Mr. Speaker, I am very much aware, I'm worried that even when this thing started, there was no ethnic or religious correlation. But within a minute, it suddenly changed. It becomes now between Muslim and Christians. Mr. Speaker, we are aware that this country, if we want to live together and for any development to take place, there is no way we continue to segregate ourselves along religious lines or ethnic lines. It will never work. I'm so pained that this is not the first time this thing is occurring in our country. Let me be particular in Kaduna State. We know the history of religious crisis in Kaduna for over a long period of time. But my worries up to today is, Mr. Speaker, what do we preach as Christians to our people in the church? And what do we preach as Muslims to our brothers in the mosque? Because if we do preach the right religion, which I know Islam and Christianity stand for, there is no way a child who has listened, who we claim in this country that 95% of this country today is either Islam or Christianity, and yet we tell the world that these religions are religions of peace. Then our youth, our children will come out and just on the basis of religion will try to kill one another. It's baffling. At I think something is wrong somewhere. And unless we get to find out, we do due diligence and find out who among us want to make sure that this country does not move forward. Mr. President is doing his best. Some state governments are doing their best to attract investments. But in a situation where an investor is not sure of the safety of his investment, Mr. Speaker and my honorable colleagues, can we see investment coming to us? And it is the development that will take place in this various states that will come to the national. Our youth will be employed. Today, most of our team youth are not employed. That is why in the slightest provocation, they are idle at home. They are waiting for anything to happen so that they will go out, and their intention, most of them, is not to protect any religion, is to steal. So, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I am deeply worried and saddened that these things are still happening. In all fairness to Mr. Governor, the governor of Kaduna State, he did his best because he went around yesterday, all the areas. I was also called to even come out, but I told him I cannot come out because there was curfew and I don't have security. I won't want a situation where I go out, somebody will disguise himself in uniform and shoot me. And this brings into instance what happened to me yesterday night. By 2 a.m., some armed men in uniform, in the army uniform, went to my family house in the village, ransacked and asked everybody to go out, and that they were looking for something. I don't know whether they think I have some stock of foreign currency or I'm doing arm running. To the glory of God, they searched everywhere and they called their superior while they were there that, oh, they didn't find anything. Now, sir, and to follow up, today I spoke with the GOC. I called GOC. I said, GOC, how are you? What is happening? You sent some men to my house, to my family house in the village in Dusi to come and search. And the answer he gave me, he's not aware. He's not aware. And that increased my fear that if the GOC, who is in charge of all the soldiers in Kaduna, and my village that I'm talking about is just 20 kilometers, about 20 kilometers from the metropolis, and now he is not aware. Mr. Speaker, as poor as I am, if I go now on the street of Kaduna and I'm accosted by some army men, how will I know they are true soldiers? How will I know? So it means that we're not safe. Our life is in danger. And you can imagine a situation where if they came to raid and they were climbing the fence of my house without notice, if somebody had a dead gun there and he felt that these are armed robbers and he shoot, the story will have changed. The story will be that Onobode is armed some people and he went to his house and the soldier is killed. Mr. Speaker, this is a very dangerous precedent, and I'm calling on us. It might be my turn, but tomorrow it might be somebody else's turn. It has happened to people here. I remember when Honorable Ranu seated here, said some men came to his house and raided his house without permission, without anybody knowing. I am worried, but Mr. Speaker, I'm happy in one aspect that some people there will say, yes, let it happen to honorable members. But if it happens to honorable members, you that you are ordinary person, that you are not honorable, you can imagine the torture that you go through. So, Mr. Speaker, like I said, I'm worried. But this has to be looked at passionately so that we bring the perpetrators to book. And sir, honorable colleagues, I've understood one thing with this country. Why is our legal system so slow in prosecution? I know there are cases today that have lingered for years where people were indicted, there is a white paper, they were taken to court, nobody is put in prison or nobody is prosecuted. Let me put it that way. That is a panacea for further crisis, because if you are aware that you will do it and go scot-free, all you know that you will be going to court and the court will be adjourning, then you don't have a problem. So you can go and commit any mayhem and say, is it not going to court? Let's be going to court. Mr. Speaker, I draw my curtains here and said, this is very terrible. And I'm sad because even now, as I speak to you, I don't even have a guarantee that I will go to my house in Kaduna and some men will not come in uniform and told me that they have order from above and I'm killed. It's very unfortunate, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, my name is Toby Okechukwu and I represent an area of Boji River Federal Constituency from Enugu State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, my heart goes out in sympathy to the people of Kaduna State for the loss of lives, which ordinarily should not have happened. It is sad that our country, advertently or inadvertently, has become prone to violence. It is sad. And I know that this animal called man can never come to any good unless he's gainfully engaged. Our country today is being assessed by the number of mass graves we have. Life doesn't matter anymore. And it is unfortunate that in Kaduna we have repeatedly seen and experienced this kind of hazard. Whether it is in the northeast, whether it is in Kaduna, whether it is in the middle belt, we are only counting our people being buried in mass graves. And unfortunately, our body language does not presuppose that something is wrong. And the society does value human life is completely dysfunctional. You can see the international attention that is being paid, that one journalist entered a consulate in Turkey, and the world knows no peace. And today we have our people being murdered in numbers in Kaduna, and it looks like it is normal. It is not normal, Mr. Speaker. And as leaders, there must be a reason for this. I do not believe it's religious. I do not believe that any man is born to be violent. But if the body language of our leadership shows and gives the impression that people can commit this type of peril and go free, then it is unfortunate. And it will never deter people. The only thing that deters people from violent actions against fellow citizens is the fear of punishment, and that you are going to meet the law in equal measure if you kill anybody. But where we have serially observed in breach the idea of punishing people who continue to kill others in Nigeria. The reason why we still have situations like this is not far-fetched. I understand about 22 people have been arrested. We want to know, Mr. Speaker, how these people were arrested. What punishment is meted out to them? If people are caught in the face of action against fellow citizens, I mean, the trial should be simple. It should be simple, and until these kind of measures are taken and people are punished, it will not deter others. Unfortunately, one of the traditional rulers of Adara who went to commiserate alongside the governor of Kaduna State to commiserate with people who have been victims, eventually became a victim. It means this thing has no reason whatsoever. If you are a Christian youth, when a Muslim comes, you are killed. And if you're a Muslim youth and you come across Christians, you also kill. Why? I mean, our society, don't we have any common decency? Why should somebody die because he observes a particular religion? And the situation is that a problem starts. People who are not even participants or who are not witnesses to that action eventually take it up under a different guise. Why should there be curfew in Kaduna State? The entire Kaduna, because people had crisis in the market. It shows you that the society is just simply dysfunctional. And if we cannot articulate the social skills, and our leadership cannot show the social skills and the body language that will deter its citizens, then there is no reason to have government. So I believe strongly that, look, whether they are rogue elements, whether it is opportunistic people, we must come to a close with regard to punishing people who undertake this type of action. There is no hiding place for them, and our leaders should be forthright in this respect. We have not, there is no single record since we have been to bury people in mass grave. There is no single record of record of people that have been punished. And that is why you see it in Kaduna. And it is not rocket science. You don't need any prophecy to say that by tomorrow it will happen elsewhere. Look at the Northeast. Northeast is completely gone. The economy is collapsed. And you are transiting to Northwest and North Central. How would you expect somebody to come and invest in this country under such a situation, where there is no reason or rhyme for people to be attacked? Mr. Speaker, I think some severe action has to be taken, particularly those that have been captured, arrested. And we should do further investigation. And the utterances of our leaders, particularly in Kaduna, whether you're a cleric or whether you're a political leader, it has to be measured. And it has to be in sync with civilized society. Anytime we make utterances, whether you want to achieve a political purpose that goes at variance with societal values, you pay for it, if not immediately, in circumstances like this. So, Mr. Speaker, I support this motion completely, and it has to be carried. Thank you very much.
Honorable Jimo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My name is Jiwa Ibrahim Olajide. I represent Lagos Mainland, Federal Constituency, Lagos State. Mr. Speaker, first and foremost, I want to condole the people of Kaduna State in general and Nigeria in particular. This is very saddened. This is an action that should be condemned in totality. It can be described as being barbaric, satanic, and devilish. And I know no one will be happy for this kind of crisis that has taken a lot of lives. Crises that have dealt with men, women, widows, children, and so on and so forth, and the properties. This is an action that we should all rise and condemn it in totality, provide solution, because solution should be the main thing now. It is Kaduna today, it might be any other place tomorrow. If the people in Kaduna cannot sleep well, how on earth the people in Bauchi can sleep well? Not to talk of Lagos, not to talk of Enugu, and so on and so forth. Nigeria is one country, is one entity, being controlled by every single person that are alive. And I want to say this, Mr. Speaker, that this issue of crisis here and there should be stopped. How do we do it? Commission of inquiry has been set up in so many ways, at different times, at different occasions. And we have not heard of anything positive out of it. I think it's very important for us to sit down. Let's go back to drawing board and reschedule our plan, map our strategy, that we put a lasting solution on this kind of problem. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Rano, and then we'll move to Jagaba.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My distinguished colleagues, my name is Honorable Sani Mohammed Rano. I'm from Kano State. Mr. Speaker, I rise in support of this motion, Mr. Speaker, because of two reasons. One, because the motion is straightforward, and it is a motion that touches Nigerians who were killed by unknown people Let me, Mr. Speaker, also lend my voice with those that spoke before me in support of this motion. Mr. Speaker, while I condole the families of those that lost their loved ones on these incidents. I want also, on the other hand, pray that this kind of incidents may not repeat itself anymore anywhere. Mr. Speaker, let me also refer us to our Constitution, Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, especially Section 33, Sub 1, which is very, very clear, which says every person has a right to life, and no any other person shall be deprived intentionally of his life, save in execution of a sentence of a court, in respect of a criminal offense of which he has been found guilty in Nigeria. Mr. Speaker, this is straightforward. Let me also go forward to Section 34, Sub 1 of the same Constitution, which says every person is entitled to respect and for the dignity of his person. A, Mr. Speaker, no person shall be subjected to torture or inhuman or degrading treatment. 2, or B, no person shall be held in slavery or servitude. While C, Mr. Speaker, says no person shall be asked to perform any forced or compulsory labor. With this, Mr. Speaker, I see no reason why our people should be killed in such a way that the Constitution does not allow. Because of these reasons, Mr. Speaker, I want to call on this House that the House call on the federal government to ask its security agencies to try and fish out the perpetrators of this act and punish them judiciously, Mr. Speaker. I so second.
Honorable Jagaba.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, Honorable colleagues. My name is Honorable Adam Jagaba, member representing Kachiaka Galpo Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I share border constituency with Honorable Bedre. So the paramount chief we are talking about is from my constituency, the first class chief. Most of the people he govern, some belong to Bedre constituency, some in my constituency. And the headquarters is my constituency, which he left to Kaswa Magani to commiserate with these people. It's worthy to note, Mr. Speaker, that when he was coming back home, he was blocked by about 15 armed uniformed men. Now, the vehicles before him, all the lives that were in those vehicles were wasted before even arriving at this car. As I'm talking, Mr. Speaker, they kidnapped this man, went into the bush. Though he talked to us, the paramount ruler spoke. But up to this moment, nobody knows his whereabouts. Mr. Speaker, it's worthy of note that this is the second paramount ruler, Agwam Ikulu, that was kidnapped early this year, and this time around, Agwam Adara, kidnapped. Mr. Speaker, I had a lot of submissions. Some say government did that, the soldiers did that. Yes, I agree with all the submissions, Mr. Speaker. But one question we need to ask ourselves. 2 days back, youth were killed in Narai. The people that killed them came in soldier uniform. Why do we have this soldier uniform all over the places? Has the government taken time actually to investigate how guns and uniform are just going around like that? That is worthy to note, of note, Mr. Speaker. You see, it's not just enough to say the soldiers should do this, federal government should do that. To me, Mr. Speaker, may sound a little bit different. The problem we have majorly is with the masses themselves. At this level, we sit down, we have APC, we have PDP, we have ADC, SDP. We relate with one another. We don't have any problem with ourselves. If you go, today, Atiku, the flag bearer of PDP, respects Mr. President, they see at their own level, they interact. They don't have any problem. All the gubernatorial candidates of all parties interact, no problem. But why is it that the masses, instead of the masses, Mr. Speaker, to gang up and kick against misrule, and kick against people that don't govern well, and kick against people that mishandling them, and kick against people that don't keep their promise to the masses. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, these masses on daily basis, on the slightest provocation, begin to kill themselves. It's rather very, very unfortunate. And the most annoying thing, sir, Mr. Speaker, when the same bad people wants to be governor, wants to be president, you see the same masses will rush again to vote the same people that keeps oppressing them. I think, Mr. Speaker, the masses needs a lot of enlightenment so that they will love themselves first. The masses needs enlightenment so that, I don't know which organization needs to do that, so that even if they are going to unite, they should unite to fight against bad governance, not killing themselves. If you look at all the numbers of people killed, except those killed by accident, by roadblock, or whatever, but for them, the active participant, Mr. Speaker, no son of a big man that is there, no son of a paramount ruler that is among. We discover that masses are always the problem, killing themselves. Now, Mr. Speaker, maybe somebody may say the high class are the people triggering these boys to do it. But they have the right to say no. The masses have the right to say no. They burn their houses, kill themselves, Mr. Speaker, unabated. It's rather very, very unfortunate. Now, this thing has come the way it is today. I'm urging the House to talk to them, appeal to the executive of government to deal decisively with these perpetrators. And Mr. Speaker, let me tell you, why this problem continue unabated is that my constituency is the dean of these kidnappers, Mr. Speaker. They will arrest them, tomorrow you see them on the street again. You arrest, you see them on the street again. Yes, the judiciary has an issue, I agree. The security men, what of the executive man, we should team up together and make sure if people that are found to be kidnappers or perpetrators of one evil or the other, they should never ever live unpunished, Mr. Speaker. So long as we keep leaving them to have their freedom, this problem will never stop, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable MT, then Ogeni will round up.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, my name is Mohamed Shai Moguno. I represent Marje Moguno, Ganze, Federal Constituency of Borno State. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I'm happy that the prayer of the motion is for the authorities concerned to investigate properly the remote and immediate causes of this crisis with a view to bringing the culprits to book. I think the only way or the only financial towards the attainment of the prayer of this motion is for the strict enforcement of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, you are all aware that the Administration of Criminal Justice Act was enacted with a view to fast-tracking criminal cases in court. This is purely as a result of the fact that criminal cases in our courts usually suffer checkered and protracted history of adjournments as a result of various technicalities that is inherent in the administration of criminal justice system in the country. And that is why that act was promulgated by this parliament with a view to mitigating these factors. So long as culprits are not brought to book, then it will not serve as a deterrent with a view to stopping others from committing such abominable and obnoxious acts in society. So there is need for the strict enforcement of this act so that people that were found culpable in this type of acts were brought to book, and then will-be offenders will be deterred from committing such actions. Then with regard to the issue of exploitation of the fault lines that is inherent in this country, particularly religion, and then the mass participation of the gullible masses in this type of act in the name of religion. I will borrow the words of a renowned philosopher, Karl Marx, who said religion is the opium of the masses. So the elites in this country use religion as a veritable tool towards exploiting the masses with a view to attaining their own objectives, particularly of rising to power and what have you. So long as this fault line is being exploited by the elites for their own selfish advantage, so long shall we continue to have this type of crisis. So in the end, I will say the strict enforcement of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act is the only financial towards nipping in the bud this type of ugly scenario in this country. Thank you.
Ogene, we'll round up.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to talk about this very topical issue. My name is Honorable Ogene Ego, and I represent the very good people of Amon of the Federal Constituency, Lagos State. Mr. Speaker, this issue of killing has happened so many times, and we have protested here so many times that nobody has the right to take life. Because the first article of our Constitution says every Nigerian is guaranteed right to life. I don't know why some people are now left freely to take other people's life. I want to ask, are we a failed state? There's killing in Kaduna, there's killing in Plateau, there's killing in Jos. Basically the whole country there's killing. I don't know. Those who are managing the security of this country, I don't know whether they feel ashamed, whether they are aware that what they are doing is so bad that even foreign investors will think twice before they come to Nigeria. I think what we need to do is to call on Mr. President and order that they stop people to these killings. They know where areas that are flashpoint. In the last 1 or 2 months, we know the killings that are taking place in Kaduna. That place should be packed full with soldiers. We did an election in Osun State. 30,000 policemen were there. Why don't you carry these 30,000 policemen to this area? If the number of police are not there, recruit more. If the soldiers are not enough, recruit more. Until we do that, this killing will continue. And that is why people are agitating for state police. If there is state police, you will not know who to hold responsible for such an event. I think it's fearful. A situation where you are moving on the road, a group of killers will just come and kidnap you. It can happen to anybody. You can imagine anybody who went to that market that day is a victim. Anybody going around to visit people is a victim. And the unfortunate thing is that when this event happens, they will not find any coup. Nobody will be arrested. So the same people can come back again and continue the killing in other guys. So I sympathize with those who lost their lives. It's so sad. But we pray that one day we will have an Inspector General of Police, we will have a president who can say, yes, my people should not be killed. No matter the party belongs to. Who can come and keep law and order. We are still looking for such a person to take control of this country. Thank you very much.
So I put a question. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. first prayer of the motion is to call on the House to observe a minute's silence in honor of those who lost their lives in the unfortunate Kaduna crisis. So may we please rise to observe a minute's silence. May the gentle souls of the departed rest in perfect peace. Amen. Next matter of urgent public importance will come from Honorable Doe. Honorable Doe 3.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, my esteemed colleagues. My name is Diri Doye, representing Yenagwa Kolokuma Obokuma Federal Constituency. I come under 8. Honorable Boma, sit down, please. To bring a motion on the urgent need to prevent the NHIS from degenerating into a theater of war rather than a theater of health. Thank you.
Honorable Gaza.
Right Honorable Speaker, Honorable colleagues, my name is Gaza Jonathan Befi, and I represent the people of Karu, Kefi, Kokona Federal Constituency. I rise to second the first leg of the motion, honorable by Honorable Didi, that this matter be treated as urgent. I so move.
Those in favor of the motion that the matter be considered urgent, say aye. Those against it, say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Buba Yakub will second the second limb of the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm Yusuf Buba Yakub. I represent Gombe Federal Constituency from Adamawa State. I rise to second the second leg of the motion, that the motion be taken as urgent. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Diri can now move the motion.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, my esteemed colleagues. As I said earlier, it is a motion on NHIS, National Health Insurance Scheme. The House takes cognizance that the Governing Council of the National Health Insurance Scheme announced the suspension on Thursday, 18th October, of Professor Usman Yusuf over allegations of fraud and severe infractions on procurement, including but not limited to public procurement, unlawful staff posting, willful defiance of council directives, violation of federal government's Treasury Single Account TSA policy, and superfluous arrogation of powers. Aware that the council had issued the NHIS Executive Secretary Professor Yusuf queries dated back to 25th of May and 4th of June 2018. Again aware that the latest pandemonium is coming barely 5 months after the NHIS Executive Secretary was controversially reinstated by our President from an indefinite suspension slammed on him by the supervising Ministry and Minister of Health. In July 2017, over similar alleged gross misconduct, corruption, and nepotism. The House notes that the suspended Executive Secretary disputed the authority of the Council to suspend him, and on Monday, 22nd of October, violently broke into the Abuja head office of the scheme, aided by almost over 50 heavily armed police, overpowered the security men at the gates, as well as staff at the premises, including women, were indiscriminately tear-gassed and manhandled. Concerned that this very critical sector on which the hope of our universal health delivery is hinged, far from being a theater of health, has degenerated into a theater of war. With so many scandals in recent times, the House therefore resolves to mandate the House Committee on Health and Public Procurement to investigate the cycle of crisis and report back to the House in 4 weeks' time. I so move.
Second phase before it's debated. Honorable Adeogu.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, Honorable colleagues. Albert Abiodun Adeogu is my name. Member representing the First Central, East, South, and North of the Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from the source, Osun State. I rise to second the motion as ably moved by my colleague. I so second, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for this opportunity.
Honorable Diri, can you now lead the debate, please?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, my honorable colleagues. For the past about a week or two, we are all abreast with the trending issues of the National Health Insurance Scheme. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, the issues that we have all been told and we have all witnessed is that the Executive Secretary was suspended by a governing council of that scheme. And the reasons for the suspension have to do and placed on infringement on procurement processes, particularly of the procurement cost of a biometric capturing machine and an attempt to illegally execute a 30 billion naira federal government bond. Other issues have to go with posting of staff and arrogation of so much power by the Executive Secretary. The Executive Secretary was so queried twice. He was queried on the 25th of May this year. He was queried on the 4th of June this year. And what are those queries about? The queries, one was about the 30 billion naira federal government bond, for him to explain. The second one has to do with his trip outside the country that cost the scheme over 17 million naira.
And the query was that he embarked on that trip without approval. And rather than answering the query, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, the executive secretary, who was so queried and suspended, was returned to office, as we were told, from the presidency. And you will recall that it's a joke in the country now of our former secretary to government when the newsman asked him that the presidency said this. He retorted and said, "Who is the presidency?" And so, Mr. Speaker, our country is fast degenerating to become a banana republic, a laughing stock. And this parliament cannot sit back when these things are happening and pretend not to see. So, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, this motion is investigative. Let the committees on health and the committee on public procurement investigate the procurement processes and investigate the crises that are ongoing in that scheme to save our country and bring back the health of Nigerians, as our hopes are all hinged on that national health insurance scheme. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, honorable colleagues.
Honorable Toby.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, my name is still Toby Okechukwu. I represent an area of Oji River Federal Constituency from Enugu State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, the major plank based on which this government came into power was to fight corruption, restore the economy, and provide security. It is quite sad that this government, these agencies, will be so embroiled in nepotic and very, very untoward actions that affect the health sector. Mr. Speaker, it is common knowledge and common aphorism that health is wealth. But if those, including the council and the management of the agency, cannot find the necessary peace to ensure that our people are in a good state of health, then they should not be there. It means they don't have the necessary ingredients to oversee that sector. The professor who is the DG of the agency has repeatedly been in the news. He is either suspended by the minister or recalled by the president, suspended by the council. He is escorted by security people to return to office. Mr. Speaker, what is needed here is not just the issue of corruption. It's the lack of capacity to run government. Something is so wrong and is symptomatic of the malaise we are experiencing all throughout the Federation. I do not understand how an agency that is supposed to ensure the health of our people and provide jobs would want to embroil itself in a simple thing as procedures of procurement, traveling with allowances turning to the tune of 17 million naira. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I think this matter is much more serious than just asking the health committee to oversee it.
is multifaceted. It boils down to the issue of leadership. It boils down to the issue of corruption. It boils down to the issue of not being able to run the agency in order to provide jobs. How on earth would you want to go and get a bond for 30 billion naira when health is not provided for our people? It is not prudent, Mr. Speaker, when money can be used for other purposes and you want to go and weigh houses in order to get the proceeds and subject it to untoward purposes. The opportunity cost of putting 30 billion naira in a bond has to be compared with the opportunity cost of providing health to Nigerians who are dying daily. We go to our hospitals, we cannot have adequate medications, we cannot have adequate equipment. Each and every day, Nigerians, including those who can afford it, go to overseas to procure their health needs. Why should this be happening? Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I believe that this thing boils down to leadership. It's not just mere nepotism or corruption or posting of staff. It's much more than that. It means that these people cannot work in peace in that agency. And where they cannot work in peace, they should all just be removed. I have had questions that the professor is saying that it is the president who appoints and he is there at the pleasure of the president. If it's the president that appoints, then the president should go and sit in council. But if the president has duly delegated his function to the council should exercise it. And I don't see how anybody can be above the law. It's delegated authority. And we know that they have done so in concert with the approval of the minister. So I believe that these things are simple. And I also think that instead of the Committee on Health, there should be an ad hoc committee that should look and completely whole and entire on all the facets of this issue, both the economics of it, the leadership aspect of it, the corruption aspect of it, and the lack of capacity to provide jobs. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm in support of this motion, but I believe that the Committee on Health, which in their previous presentation had insisted that this professor should be returned to duty. That was the tenor and the cardinal elements of the motion that was brought here. He has returned, and what has he shown? Complete lack of capacity and social skills to work with people. So I support this motion, but it should be handled by an ad hoc committee. Thank you.
Simple. Rules and business, then Honorable Sergio.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Okay, Jeff. I represent the good people of Buruku, my dear colleagues. I'm from Benue State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to lend my support to this motion. The issue of corruption embedded in this motion has been clearly brought out by the mover of the motion and subsequent speakers. Mr. Speaker, I have lost the capacity to be surprised about how we are run, how the government, especially the government of the day, does its own things. Mr. Speaker, on previous occasions, I have risen up on the floor of this House to protest when Nigeria was referred to as a banana republic. I felt that was taking it too far. Today, I've lost the capacity to protest. Because I don't know whether anybody saw it the way I saw it. When several policemen, the media has put it at 50, we are accompanying this man to go and force his way through to get to office. The gate was literally torn down to allow this man to get into office. And I ask myself, what kind of society are we living in? If whoever is backing him felt the man should continue in office, was that the way to go about it? Was that the way to go about it? And as if to say that the police themselves were ashamed of their action, they denied it. They denied their men that accompanied this man to the office in the statement, as usual. I doubt whether the police will get worse than it is today. Because everything that could possibly go wrong has gone wrong with the way the police is being managed today. We are supposed to be a nation of rule and regulations. But today it has become like whims and caprices of whoever has the responsibility of running any agency of government. And that should worry all of us here. We are here being concerned about what happened. Because this is supposed to be a government that will be fighting corruption. And yet everything that could be wrong, deemed as being wrong, goes wrong when it comes to issues of corruption. That is a topic for another day. But because everybody knows that the procedure for punishing this man, especially as seen from the other side, has been breached. Honorable Doye has brought out clearly the issues of, fighting the issues of corruption or fighting corruptions as are embedded in this issue. Are we no longer a country of rules and regulations? That bothers me, Mr. Speaker. I lend my support that this motion, the prayers of this motion be carried, and we look deeper into this issue. Not just on the issue of corruption, but the issue of obeying rules and orders as far as our government is being run. Thank you.
Honorable Sergio.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and my highly esteemed colleagues. I'm Sergius Ose Ogun. I represent Eastern Northeast, Eastern Southeast, and I'm from Edo State. Mr. Speaker, I just want to contribute a little to this motion. When we have said here repeatedly, the world is a global village. Whatever is happening here is being around the world. A situation where you have a government official that has been suspended by a board, a governing board, and yet with the backing of the government of the day, he goes into that facility with strong hands. Mr. Speaker, I think this House should stand to condemn this very act. I keep saying here, we are wooing investors to come in. How many genuine, legitimate investors would come into a place like this to invest their money? We are attacked every day for our running costs in the media. And the question I keep asking, in the UK, if somebody is not well, do you call your MP? Because NHIS is working there, NHS is working there. So why can't we just simply replicate one here? So, Mr. Speaker, I think this motion has been thoroughly debated, but I just want to add that the first place to start with the true practice of democracy is the rule of law. And I will dare quote the US ambassador to Nigeria, I think yesterday here, when he said, disregard for rule of law is worse than corruption. That's the US ambassador to Nigeria. These are people that Americans will relate with before coming here to invest. And yet, they are openly criticizing what is happening in Nigeria. So I stand here to condemn what happened. I think that gentleman should be let go. Again, if I might just add, some time back, I moved a motion in this House against PTAD, the Executive Secretary of PTAD. And what was her offense? That they were going to do biometrics, and the Accountant General of the Federation wanted to be involved, and she refused them. And they said there were all manner of things against her, that she should step aside for investigation. Why can't that happen in this same case? So, Mr. Speaker, I add my voice to this motion, and I urge all my colleagues to do that. Thank you.
Honorable Pojok.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, my name is Edward Pojok. I represent the South-West of Plateau State. Mr. Speaker, I'm standing up to just point out just a simple issue that because the motion is calling for an investigation, therefore we should not reach a conclusion without the committee investigating, giving us its report and us having the benefit of of reading the report. Mr. Speaker, I've read the act establishing the National Health Insurance Scheme, and it seems that it is not very clear whether the governing council has the powers to suspend the executive secretary. Mr. Speaker, I do not want to go into the merits of the suspension, whether the council acted in line with the law or not. I think that the committee, starting with the responsibility of investigation, should do a very thorough job and then tell us whether the governing council acted within their powers or outside their powers. Mr. Speaker, we may have to take a decision whether to amend the enabling law, that is the National Health Insurance Scheme Act. Because, Mr. Speaker, looking at the law itself, Section 8 of the law is the one that deals with the appointment of the executive secretary of the National Health Insurance Scheme. And Mr. Speaker, that Section 8 gives the President the power solely to appoint the executive secretary on the recommendation of the Minister of Health. And it is noteworthy that the council only has the power to appoint other directors, but not the executive secretary. So, Mr. Speaker, the problem there is that by the Interpretation Act, specifically Section 11, sub 2, it says that anyone who has the power to appoint someone also has the power to either remove or suspend the person. So the purpose of that is that if the governing council does not have the power to appoint executive secretary, the question is, do they not have the power to suspend him? Because the governing council only appoints other directors and other staff and not executive secretary. Speaking here, I do not want to venture into a definite opinion. I would rather recommend that our committee investigating should look very deeply into that matter. If it now finds out that maybe there's a lacuna in the law, then we here can either strengthen the law, streamline it, or do what is necessary so that there should be orderliness. Mr. Speaker, I am not discountenancing all the valid points made by previous speakers, whether there have been infractions in that very important agency and other malfeasance in that agency. But I'm saying, let us tread very, very carefully and look at the law itself. Because like Honorable Tedus said, we ought to respect the rule of law. If some other persons are telling us that respect for the law is even more important than even stealing in terms of corruption, then let us please obey the laws that we ourselves have made. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Any more contributors? So I put the question. Amendment from Honorable Toby Okechukwu.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, my amendment is to the effect that it should be an ad hoc committee. And the House resolves to set up an ad hoc committee to investigate the crisis in the National Health Insurance Scheme, including its operations, and report back to the House within 4 weeks. I so move.
Honorable Brown.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Colleagues, my name is Honorable Randolph I.O. Brown, representing Dekma Bonifera Consensus. I rise, Mr. Speaker, to second the amendment as moved by my honorable colleague. I so second.
Those in favor of the amendment say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Those in favor of the motion as amended say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Chairman, Rules and Business, there's one more urgent matter from IBI in relation to these pipelines. So maybe move that we suspend the rules to enable him take it quickly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Okay, Jeff. I represent the good people of Buruku. My dear colleagues, I'm from Plenary State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move that the House do suspend the provisions of Order 8, Rule 4, Sub-Rule 4 to allow the House to take more than 2 matters of urgent public importance. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, I so move.
Seconder. Seconder. Honorable Sam.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, my name is Samuel Ono Ibo. I represent Iguano, Mwaya North and South Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion as moved by the Chairman, Rules and Business. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Sam, please raise your matter of urgent public importance.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, my name is Samuel Ifeanyi Onu Igbo. I represent the good people of Great Iguano, Umuahia North and South Federal Constituency. I'm from Abia State. Mr. Speaker, I come under Order 8, Rule 4, to move a motion on a matter of urgent public importance, to call on the federal government to immediately take actions to prevent a calamity waiting to happen in Umuahia South local government area of Abia State. I therefore move that this motion be taken as an urgent matter and that we also set aside our rules. Mr. Speaker, I so move. Thank you.
Seconder to the first limit of the motion that the matter be considered urgent. Seconder, Honorable Adeogun.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues. Albert Adeogun is my name, member representing the Central, East and South of the Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from the source of Sul State. I rise to second the motion, that the first leg of this motion, that the motion be taken right now. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. The rules have already been suspended by virtue of that last motion, so you can now move your motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Samuel Ifeanyi Onu Igbo. I represent the good people of Great Iguano, Umuahia North and South Federal Constituency. I'm from Abia State. Mr. Speaker, I move a motion on a matter of urgent public importance to call on the federal government to immediately take actions to prevent a calamity waiting to happen in Umuahia South local government of Abia State. The House notes that Umuahia is a town in Umuahia South local government area of Abia State and has the Petroleum Product Management Company pipeline passing through the town. And the town has been devastated by erosion menace as well. Further notes that the destructive effects of erosion in Umuahia are threatening lives, property, and economic activities in the area. Coupled with these threats is the danger usually associated with the exposure of the petroleum pipelines passing through the town. However, that recently the ugly petroleum pipeline explosion that resulted in death of hundreds of people in Osisioma local government area of Abia State was reported to have exhibited similar dangerous signals, which were brought to the attention of the federal government and the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, or its subsidiary, the BPMC. But such alerts and several calls to act to prevent deadly incidents that happen were either ignored or neglected. Worried that similar alerts had been given to the federal government and its agencies, such as the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, to carry out its responsibilities in order to prevent the occurrences of ugly consequences like the one that occurred recently in Osisioma from happening, had always fallen on deaf ears. Further worried that except the federal government immediately takes measures through this early warning to prevent similar disaster or calamity like those Osisioma and similar ones in the past from happening. Further aware that Section 14, Subsection 2B of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended said that the primary reason a government exists is for the protection and security of lives and property. Aware that we should move away from seasons of disasters foretold to a season of disasters prevented, because Nigerian lives matter. Result, to call on the federal government to direct the Ecological Fund Office to immediately carry out environmental impact assessment on erosion sites affected in Umuawa and urgently embark on erosion control measures to prevent the likely disaster that may occur in the area if nothing is done now. 2. Also call on the Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources to direct the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation and Petroleum Pipeline Management Company to take immediate measures to prevent any calamity likely to result from not taking action now to prevent similar exposure of the pipeline in the area. 3. Mandate the committees on climate change, environment and habitat, and petroleum downstream to visit erosion sites in Umuawa and make recommendations to the House within 4 weeks on measures to be adopted to ensure permanent solution to the erosion problems and the exposure of the pipelines and threats to lives, properties, and economic activity in the area. I so move, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable Namwobi, that's seconding the motion.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My honorable colleagues, I'm Uche Namwobi, and I represent the good people of Ahodo West and Oba Ibim and Dodi Federal Constituency from Rivers State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion ably moved by my friend, Sam Onibo. I so second.
This is a motion bordering on disaster, in line with the provision of our rules. I put the question. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. First order of the day's commencement of debate on general principles of Bill FANAP to provide for establishment of the Federal University of Education, Kano, and for matters connected therewith, standing in the name of the House Leader. Honorable members will recall the bill was transmitted from the Senate seeking concurrence of the House and read the first time on Wednesday, 10th October 2018. And I invite the leader to move the bill be now read the second time.
Mr. Speaker, the colleagues, I rise to move the motion for a bill of act to provide establishment of Federal University of Education, Kano, and for other matters connected there will be read this content. I so move.
Any rules of business?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Okay, Jeff. I represent the good people of Buruku, of the PDP. My dear colleagues, I'm from Benue State. I rise to second the motion as moved by the leader of the House. I so second.
Leader.
Mr. Speaker, fellow colleagues, this bill is seeking to establish a federal university in Kano, sequel to Federal Executive Council held during the period of President Jonathan, wherein they proposed to establish 4 federal universities, upgrading them from the status of Federal College of Education to university status. And this particular institution, Federal College of Education Kano, is among the 4 that were proposed at the Federal Executive Council in 2015. This bill has passed second reading at the Senate. What is seeking now is concurrence at this level, and if given the concurrence, we believe that this institution will further increase the quality and quantity of education in the country. It is in the light of this, it's a straightforward bill that I seek and call on my colleagues to support this particular bill, to sustain what the former president of this country has done in terms of trying to bring education closer to people and then increasing the manpower development for our country. In the light of this, I seek and I plead with my colleagues to support this bill, be read the second time. I so move, sir. Thank you. That's my solution.
Any contribution? So I put the question. Okay. Honorable Nasru Ali Ahmed.
Thank you very much, Speaker. My name is Nasir Ali Ahmed. I represent Nasra Federal Constituency, and I'm from Kano State. Mr. Speaker, this is a very, very important bill, Mr. Speaker, because this bill seeks to establish the Federal University of Education in Kano State, which happens to be my own state, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, education is the key to success. It is the key to economic development, and it is also the key to solving the insecurity problems that we have in this country. About an hour ago, Mr. Speaker, we were speaking about the unfortunate crisis in Kaduna State. Last week, we spoke about the unfortunate crisis in Plateau State. Mr. Speaker, I believe education plays a major role, or will play a major role in solving this issue of insecurity. Kano State, Mr. Speaker, has the highest population according to the 2006 census, with a population of over 10.5 million. Kano has the highest unemployment rate. It has the highest number of Almajiri beggars. It also has the highest number of drug-related issues, going by NDLA statistics. Mr. Speaker, I believe establishing the Federal University of Education in Kano State will go a long way in solving all these issues that I've mentioned, the issue of insecurity, economic development, and then also take off a lot of these Almajiri children that we have begging all over Kano. We need this Federal University of Education, Mr. Speaker, in Kano. Not only in Kano, but in Nigeria, because I believe it will go a long way in enhancing the quality of education that we will have in this country. So, Mr. Speaker, I definitely support this bill, and I urge our honorable members to please support this bill. I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to talk.
Honorable colleagues, the question is that the bill be now read the second time. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Clerk is invited to read the long title of the bill.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to provide for establishment of the Federal University of Education, Kano, and for matters connected therewith. Second reading.
Bill referred to Committee of the Whole. Second order of the day, honorable colleagues, commencement of debate on general principles of bill for an act to provide for establishment of the Federal College of Education, Misau, Bauchi State, and for matters connected therewith. Standing in the name of the House Leader, honorable members will recall that the bill was transmitted from the Senate seeking concurrence of the House and read the first time on Wednesday, 10 October 2018. I now invite the Leader to move that the bill be now read the second time.
Mr. Speaker, respected colleagues, I move the motion for a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of Federal College of Education in South Bauchi State and for other matters connected therewith. Read the second time. I so move.
Rules and business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Okay, Jeff. I represent the good people of Buruki from Benue State. I rise to second the motion as moved by the Leader of the House.
Leader.
Mr. Speaker and fellow colleagues, again, this is a very straightforward bill coming from the Senate seeking concurrence from the House of Representatives. And the basic arguments here contained on the submission is that one, in almost all the states of the Federation, they have Federal College of Education except Bauchi. Bauchi is among the few states that do not have a Federal College of Education. Two, it is going to increase the quality and quantity of our teachers that will train our teaming young ones coming up at that level by the quality and standard of education. We believe it will increase the numerical strength in that direction. In the light of that, Mr. Speaker, I am calling and seeking the support of our colleagues to allow this bill be read the second time. I so submit. Thank you, sir.
Any contributor? If not, so I put a question. Question is the bill be now read the second time. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Clerk is invited to read the long title of the bill.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to provide for establishment of the Federal College of Education, Misau, Bauchi State, and for matters connected therewith. Second reading.
Bill referred to Committee of the Whole. Third order of the day, honorable colleagues, commencement of debate on general principles of bill for an act to provide for establishment of the Federal College of Education Technical, Ako, Agoiwoye, or Ogun State. And for related matters, standing in the name of Honorable Adekoya Adeshogun Abdul-Majid, honorable members will recall that the bill was read the first time on Thursday, 12 July 2018. I now invite Honorable Abdul-Majid to move the bill be now read the second time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Honorable Adeshogun Abdul-Majid Adekoya, representing Ijebu North, Ijebu East, yes, Ogun Waterside Federal Constituency. I rise to read the bill for an act to establish Federal College of Education Technical Ako, Agoiwoye, Ogun State, to provide full-time courses, teaching instructions and training in technology and applied sciences, and to provide for the appointment of the provost and other officers of the college to carry out its due administration and management. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Honorable Jimo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Jima Abdurrahim Olajide. I represent Lagos Mainland Federal Constituency, Lagos State. I stand to support the motion as moved by Honorable Adekoya. Thank you, sir.
Honorable Abdul Majid Ataka, could you please lead the debate?
Once again, Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for this opportunity. My dear colleagues, this bill seeks to establish a Federal College of Education Technical in Agbo, in Ogun State. Mr. Speaker, a nation such as Nigeria that aspires to develop must seriously, honestly, assiduously and continuously develop its technological education to pave way for technological breakthrough, which is equal down to social and economic development and advancement. I am compelled to propose this bill for the following reasons. Number one, the Nigerian Education Research and Development Council that recommended 34 trade subjects, that's vocational subjects, for the secondary school in the implementation of the 9-year basic curriculum signed into law in 2008 to equip students who are technically inclined for a world of entrepreneurship should they prefer not to pursue their education beyond this level. And two, to prepare Nigeria to compete successfully in the evolving world of technology making the rounds globally. Nadi did a good job, no doubt. But Mr. Speaker, I hereby inform you that these trades and vocations have no trained teachers to handle them. Our existing Federal College of Education Technical in the countries are constrained by one, lack of space to accommodate a large number of students seeking entrance into such institutions. At present, Mr. Speaker, Nigeria has federal government has 22 federal colleges of education, but only 6 are technical oriented. Only 6. The problem of distance from the wide audience all over the nation. Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable members, our mandate to lift the nation's shoulder high to the level of our contemporaries and beyond them in the continent of this world is my further drive motive to propose this bill. This bill is to establish an institution that will provide and to promote sound, basic scientific training as a foundation for the development of technology and allied disciplines. 2, to increase the adequate preparation of graduates for self-employment in technology and allied professions. Consequently, my dream for the Federal College of Education Technical Agbo in Ogun State is such that we focus the massive training of experts in the management of the emerging 21st century trades and businesses, thereby taking the burden of unemployment strictly off the neck of the government at all levels. Mr. Speaker, sir, my distinguished colleagues, think about it. If this country has 1 or 2 particular institutions that produce instructors with the sound pedagogy and content required to make specialists in mobile phone technology, computer hardware, software development, programming, carpentry, building, painting, plumbing, and so on and so forth. Our restive, jobless but talented youth for a greater tomorrow, we equip them for a greater tomorrow. In less than 10 years, Nigeria will make front-page headlines in the development countries with the capacity to overrun and outrun Singapore and Malaysia. It is not a third order. I see a mega technology-driven college in Agbo with the fame second only to the Nollywood industries. That means a lot to Nigeria in respect of our GDP projection, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the honorable members of the House, we will, by the establishment of this institution, have 1, succeeded in stemming the tide of our West African neighbors, transferring their technology here at the detriment of our economy. I consider it penny wise and pound foolish, Mr. Speaker, to invest in bringing Togolese, Ghanaians, Benin Republic expatriates down. A situation where Togolese are becoming expatriates in Nigeria when it comes to technical works.
bricklaying, plastering, interlocks, POP baking. In Ogun State, Lagos State, we now bring in Togolese to come and do those jobs for us in Nigeria. It's unfortunate when Togolese become expatriates. Mr. Speaker, sir, the choice of the location of the college is predicated on the historical antecedent of the Ijebu people. In the pre-independent Nigeria, the colonial master created 24 provinces for administrative convenience. As I stand before you, Mr. Speaker, Ijebu is the only remaining of these provinces without direct access to a federal tertiary institution. In Ijebu province, we have 9 local governments. 9 local governments, 3 federal constituencies, a senatorial district, 11 state constituencies. Mr. Speaker, I am saying we don't have access to any federal tertiary institution. Also, Akwa Ibom, Ogun State, location of the college form part of the old western region of Nigeria, and I wish to say with respect that no federal college of education technical is in existence in the entire old western region. Ironically, Ijebu has produced notable names in history, like the late sage, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, Professor Wole Soyinka, Professor Awokoya, Professor Sonya Onobamiru, Dr. Tola Adeniyi. These are the architects of free education. They are all from Ijebu. And the present Vice President of our dear nation, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, to mention just a few, who have contributed so much to this nation in the global world. In Ijebu, we have a large number of teeming youths and hardworking adults who should be encouraged with the gains of democracy from the federal mind. In view of the numerous benefits that will be derived from the establishment of this college, Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, I urge you to please allow this bill to be read the second time. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Supported.
Honorable Jimo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My name is Jima Ibrahim Olajide. I represent Lagos Mainland Federal Constituency. I want to salute the courage of the sponsor of this bill, Honorable Adekoya. This is a bill that is for education, and education is about knowledge. Education is about leadership. Education is about service. And for him to have been calling for an establishment of Federal College of Education, technical, that's the key word, technical, in his constituency, in his state, is a welcome development. For special skill, it is very necessary. Technology advancement is what is in the book now. And for the fact that this will bring employment and sufficiency in the environment within the locality, it will help us. And I want to stand to support the bill as being sponsored by Honorable Adekoya. Thank you very much.
Any more contributor? So I'll put the question. Question is the bill be now read a second time. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Clerk is invited to read the long title of the bill.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal College of Education Technical, Akwa Ibom, Ogun State, and for related matters. Second reading.
Bill referred to Committee on Tertiary Education Services. Fourth order of the day, honorable colleagues, commencement of debate on the general principles of Bill for an Act to amend Section 1, Subsection 3 of the Federal University of Technology Act, Chapter F, 2-3, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, by providing for the power of the universities to establish technology park for the conduct of invention, and innovation in technology, and for related matters, standing in the name of Honorable Ayola Abayomi Abdul Kabir. Honorable members will recall that the bill was read the first time on Thursday, 31st May 2018. I now invite Honorable Abdul Kabir to move that the bill be now read the second time.
Mr. Speaker, Honorable Ayola is not available to move item number 4 on the order paper. Therefore, rise to move that will step it down. I so move.
Bill step, consideration of bill step down by leave of the House. Move to consideration of reports. Fifth order of the day, honorable colleagues, consideration report of Committee on Aid, Loans and Debt Management on the implementation of the new external capital raising of United States dollars 2.786 billion from the international capital markets and the external capital raising of USD 82.54 million to refinance the balance of USD 500 million matured Eurobond in the international capital market. Honorable members will recall the report was late on Thursday, 18th October 2018. And I invite Honorable Adenka Ajayi to move for the consideration of the report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my respected colleagues. I am Honorable Adenka Ajayi. I represent the people of Kodwoti, fellow and Borifel local governments. Mr. Speaker, I am from the state of Osun. May I move that the House do consider the report of the Committee on Aid, Loans and Debt Management on the implementation of the new external capital raising of $2.786 billion from the international capital market and the external capital raising of $82.54 million to refinance the balance of United States dollars 500 million matured Eurobond from the same international capital market and approve the recommendations therein. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Dennis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, my name is Honorable Dennis Namodi Agbo. Mr. Speaker, I move to second the motion for the consideration of the report from the Loans, Aid and Debt Management Committee. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Leader, move that will resolve into Committee of Supply to consider the report.
Mr. Speaker, respected colleagues, I move that this has been resolved to the Committee of Supply to consider the report. I so move.
Rules and Business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second the motion as moved by the Leader of the House. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. The ayes have it. House hereby resolve into Committee of Supply to consider the report.
Honorable Faleke, go to your seat.
Order. Adodogwa, order.
Honorable Faleke, go to your seat. Faleke, go to your seat. Adodogwa, go to your seat. Chief Whip, go to your seat. Chief Whip, go to your seat.
Jami, that's the extension of Oyo. Okay, Southwest is fighting you. Southwest people, they don't want you there. Come out.
Okay, honorable colleagues, what we have before us is the report from the Committee on Loans and Debt Management. I'll now invite Committee on Aid, Loans and Debt Management. I'll invite Honorable Adenka Jai to give us a brief.